Photography is a very interesting field, but just like any venture, you need to be prepared before you start on the journey. I wish someone told me this 5 years ago when I was starting on my journey in photography. But through the mistakes that I have learned, today I'm going to share with you a few things that you need to know before you start photography, and also the steps to follow in your first few steps in your journey in photography. Number one, start with a very simple DSLR camera. This is because you don't want to buy something very expensive that you don't know how to use, and maybe later on realize it's not what you need. So like for me, at least that's the part I'm proud of. I started with a Nikon D3200 with a kit lens of 18 to 55 mm. The whole kit costed me less than 500 USD, and it was just amazing working with it. So start with the kit lens, and then from it learn the basics of photography. And every photographer will tell you that the most basic thing to understand in photography is light. And to do that, we have something that is called the exposure triangle. So there are three things that make up the exposure triangle, and we have the shutter speed, we have the ISO, and we have the aperture, or what other people call f-stop, or the iris of the lens. Those are the three basic things that you need to understand. So during your first maybe 1 month in photography, just learn how those three things work and how they relate with each other. And to do that, practice with your surrounding. Call your friends, just change the settings and see what happens when you take the photos. Take photos of flowers, just anything in your environment that you'll be comfortable shooting, because at this time you'll probably not have gotten to know where your interest lies, because there are so many things that you can shoot in photography. There's sports, there's fashion, there's food, vehicles. You can shoot so many things in photography, so you need to be sure of what you want to do. But before that, master the craft first. So after practicing for a while, I'll still be advising you to utilize YouTube. There are so many tutorials that are there for understanding most cameras and how they work. There are also some books that I would advise any starting photographer to buy, or maybe to download. So the first one is a book by Freeman. Actually, there are two books: The Photographer's Mind and The Photographer's Eye. Those books are amazing. They just opened my eyes into photography. Then there's a series of books called From Snapshots to Great Shots. They're written by different authors. Also a very great book that I would definitely recommend to any photographer who wants to understand, especially natural light and how it works. Then from there, I'd also advise you to look for inspiration from books that give a very high priority to photography. So this could be fashion magazines, sports magazines, food magazines, National Geographic magazines, Vogue magazine. All these are great because you'll get a lot of inspiration from the photos that have been taken there from world-class photographers. And then, all this time you're still mastering natural light. Now it's time to get to understand how to bounce light. So this is using reflectors, and even just build maybe a white building, and maybe placing a model or your subject just next to the building and seeing how the light is being reflected, and getting to understand how light works, shadows, highlights, bouncing lights, and basically how light works, because it's more of understanding reflections. Then from there, now I'll get to learn to understand how a speedlight works. So get one speedlight, put it on top of the camera, and learn to understand how it works and how you can modify that light. After a while, go now to off-camera flash. Understand how an off-camera flash works. Yeah, and basically this is where triggers come in. So you get to understand how they work and how the lighting can be modified from a distance. After that, now you can upgrade now from speedlights to strobes. So now this is where we bring in high-speed scenes and TTLs. These things are amazing once you get to understand them, especially in terms of freezing motion and shooting using lights during harsh daylights. And finally, after you have understood that, continue practicing. Practice. Continue practicing. Like, just give yourself challenges. If you can't do that, just look online for photography competitions and different challenges that are there to just push you to the limits. And most importantly, have fun while at it. Photography is fun. Travel, enjoy it. Get yourselves now bigger lenses, and maybe this is now after you have understood what your type of photography is. Like if you are a landscape photographer, probably you'll use wide angle lenses. If you are a wildlife photographer or sports photographer, you'll probably need fast lenses because now they can capture images even in dark scenarios. Yeah, basically that's that. In every field, you need practice. You need over 10,000 hours in order for you to master the craft. I'm still in the process of mastering my craft in photography. I'm not there yet, and I even believe some of the photographers that I look up to who have been in the field for about 20 years are still not there yet. So this is a journey, and we'll all meet somewhere. So yeah, get inspired, start shooting, get your first camera, start shooting. Let's meet in the field. This bread is too big for all of us, so we can all share. See you on the next episode, and please remember to subscribe. Is it here or here? I'm trying to figure out. Probably on this side. Yeah. Bye bye.